Okay, friends, here we go. More solving equations. We're going to have two-step equations like we did in 3.1, but actually we've got a couple different steps we're going to have to take before we can even get to just having a two-step equation. They're getting a little bit more complicated, but not harder. So let's review our steps for solving equations. We are looking for distribution. Always we're looking for distribution first. We didn't have any distribution in 3.1, but guess what? In 3.2, we're all about distributing. So we're going to distribute. We're going to see if we have any like terms to collect on each side of the equal sign. We're going to do our addition and subtraction. And finally, we're going to do the multiplication and division right before we get the check. So this should look really familiar. We did a lot of these in class for 3.1, and I don't think you'll find too much trouble with these, but just be really careful with your signs and being really careful to check your work. Let's do some. All right, let's box it up. Let's collect our like terms when we rewrite. I don't see any distribution because there's no parentheses, so I'm going to rewrite it. 4x plus 8 equals 28. And this is kind of a review. This is like what we did in 3.1. We'll subtract 8 from both sides, bring down the 4x. Got one last thing to do, the division. And x equals 5, I think. I'm going to do my check. I'm going to go all the way back up to the guy inside the box. Let me move this little recorder down here. And I'm going to, I'll put him in another color, 3x plus 8 plus x equaling 28. I'm going to build my shell, and I'm plugging in what I think x is. I think x is 5. Let's hope we're right. What do we get? 15 plus 8 plus 5. Does that really equal 28? I hope. 23 plus 5. Yep, I like it. We did it. I'll let you do the second example. This is really sort of just a review for 3.1, but don't forget to collect your like terms before you actually do anything across the equal sign. Okay, now we're going to get into the distribution stuff. So this example, we'll box it up. We'll rewrite, and you may rewrite it actually doing the distribution. That will save you a line on your paper. So when I distribute minus 3 times 8, I get minus 24. When I distribute minus 3 times minus 4x, I get a positive 12x, equaling 12. Now this looks like any other equation that we did in 3.1. After we've done the distribution, we look for collecting like terms. I don't see anything that we need to do there. And we go ahead and do our addition and subtraction. So in order to get rid of a negative 24, I add 24 to both sides. Bring the positive 12x down. Add 12 and 24. Divide by 12. And I get x is equal to 3. The check, we go back to the original problem, all the way back up here, not the distributed guy. We have to go back to the problem that's in the box. Minus 3 times 8 minus 4, make a shell, equals 12. I think x is 3. Let's see what happens. We'll do the inside of our parentheses first. 8 minus 12 equals 12. And now you have a choice. You can distribute the negative 3, or you can just go ahead and say, well, 8 minus 12 is negative 4. So I think I'll do that. And a negative times a negative is a positive, and my check worked. All right, let's do, I'll leave this next one for you. It looks pretty easy. Let's go down where we actually have to collect some like terms after we distribute. Box it up. Rewrite with distribution because you see parentheses. Do not be tempted to add that 16 and 5 together. No, 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 no. Distribute first. Actually, I'm going to change this to an X because you all know how I do not like T's. somehow it got on my paper, minus 15. Now, before I look at doing adding or subtracting across the equal sign, I'm going to look at a positive 16 and a negative 15. Those are like terms. I'm going to go ahead and get those guys together. I end up with a positive 1 plus 5x. Or the commutative property lets you write it 5x plus 1 if you choose. Now I'm ready to add and subtract across the equal sign. Negative 1 from both sides, 60 equaling 5x. Here's that math fact I talk about all the time. 12 times 5 is 60. Hopefully you remember what I've talked about. And x is equal to 12. And you'll go back and do the check for your homework as well. Let's look at this next one. Actually, I think this is, nope, this one is good. This is still on your first page. Let me see how I'm doing on time. 6 minutes. Yep, we got a little bit more time. Let's box it up. Rewrite it. Distribution, minus 24x plus 32. A negative 8 times a negative 4 is a positive 32. Here's the plus 1 that was hanging out, and 15. Before I do anything across the equal signs, I ask myself, are there like terms? Yep, there's one. And there's one. So I'm going to go ahead and collect them and get a positive 33 equaling 15. I'm going to subtract 33 from both sides and get minus 24x is equal to, and let's see what 33 minus 15 is. 8. Let's see, 218, is that right? Is equal to negative 18. This is going to be an interesting problem. If I did it correctly, I am now going to divide both sides by negative 24, and I've got a funky looking fraction as an answer. X is equal to negative divided by negative is positive 18 over 24. And if you divide both of those out by 3, you end up with 6 over 8. I guess I could have divvied out by 2 more, which would be 3 over 4. So x is equal to 3/4. That's going to be a little messier to check, so we're going to skip the check on this one. Skip the check. And we'll talk about this a little more in class. The main thing I wanted you to notice here is that your answer can be a fraction. It can be a decimal. The ones we've done so far have been nice round whole numbers, but they don't have to be. They can be fractions. All right, let's see what the next page brings. This pesky recorder is in my way. Okay. I think this is the one that's hole punched out, but you can go ahead and write it down if you didn't in class when I told you. It's 18 minus 2, parentheses, x minus 3. I think the 3 is hole punched out on your paper. We're going to skip that one. I'm actually going to let you do that one. This is the one I want to concentrate on now. Let me find him. Where'd he go? Yeah, here he is. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to box him up. I'm going to move the recorder because I know I'm running out of room. And I'm going to distribute on my first step. Here's the ghostly 1. Don't forget about him. Alive and well. Minus 1 times 10 is minus 10. Minus 1 times minus x is a positive 1x. It's easy to get these signs wrong, and they will make your answer entirely wrong. Now collect your like terms. I've got negative 7x and a positive 1x. That's negative 6 of those x's. Now it's looking a little bit better. Add 10. Minus 6x is equal to minus 48. Divide by minus 6. And we get x is equal to a positive, minus divided by minus is positive 8. And you can go check it yourself. You can plug it back in, take a check, and make sure that we've done it correctly. So there's another one for you to do down here that has the ghostly 1. I'll just remind you to go ahead and write him in there. You can work these 2 problems, and I want to move on to the next page with these word problems to do a couple of these with you. So number 11 says that the perimeter of a rectangular picture frame is 30 inches. Let's draw. Every time I move the recorder, I lose my pen. Let's draw the picture frame. And let's write down what they tell us. The perimeter of this guy is 30. P is equal to 30. I'm writing it big in the middle so I don't forget this important piece of information. The length of the frame is 3 less than twice the width. So this is kind of crazy, but we're going to let x equal the, let's see, the length is 3 less than twice the width. So we're going to let x equal the width of the frame. And if that's the case, 3 less than twice the width, I can write twice the width minus 3. And that's the length of the frame. This is a really important step because if you can't get your dimensions set up with the variable x, you're not going to have any luck in finding out what the dimensions of the frame are. Dimensions just mean length and width, by the way. So if x is the width, then 2x minus 3 is the length. And we're ready to set up our formula. Perimeter of a rectangle, 2L plus 2W. Let's make our shell. Actually, we're going to erase this because he's part of our shell. We know what the perimeter is. He's 30. So now I'm going to fill in what I know. This guy's 30. The length is 2x minus 3. It's very important that you put those in parentheses because then you'll know to do the distribution. Plus 2 times x. So let's solve the problem. 30 equals distribute 4x minus 6 plus 2x. Collect your like terms. 30 equals 6x minus 6. Add 6 to both sides. I'm going to go over here. 36 is equal to 6x. Divide. And now you know what x is. But that's not exactly what they were asking us to find. They said, what are the dimensions of the frame? We need our S statement here. We forgot that. S statement. The length is blank. The width is blank. We've already found out what the x is. X is our width, and it's 6. So I can write that right in there. How do I find out what the length is? This is where I need to substitute in 6 for the x, 2 times 6, and subtract 3. 12 minus 3 is 9. And now I've answered the question. All right, I think we've just got, we've got 2 more. Number 12 and number 13 are just like number 11 that we've done. I'll help you set up number 12, and then I'll leave number 13 for you to work. Find the value of x for the figure below, which is a triangle. The perimeter is 29. P equals 29. Now we know the formula for the perimeter of a triangle, A plus B plus C. Let's sub in what we know. Here's my shell, and here are my values. Perimeter is 29. One side is 7. One side is x plus 2, and one side is x. 29 is equal to 7 plus x plus 2 plus x. Collect our like terms. I got some x's, and I've also got some numbers. 29 is equal to 9 plus 2x. Keep going. Subtract 9 from both sides. 20 is equal to 2x. And division, our last step. X is equal to 10. Again, oh, okay, they just asked us to find x. So we've done our job. They also could have asked us to find the length of the other two sides. So we could say side 1 is 7. That's the guy right there. Side 2 is 10. That's our x. And side 3 is 10x plus 2, or 12. Okay, well, I think you guys are set up to do number 13 pretty well. Don't forget the few problems in the textbook, and I will look forward to seeing you in class. Have a good evening.